Thank you all for joining us. We're so excited. We're celebrating National Gear Up Week here in San Marcos, Texas. And SMCISD, we are dedicated to our students becoming college confident, career excited, and military ready. And so we would like to first introduce Mrs. Rose Pearson, who will be interviewing our esteemed panel. And we are so thankful that y'all are here.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much for joining us today in our first Rattler Red Carpet Rollout panel. I am Rose Pearson, and I'm the Director of Pupil Personnel and Student Support Services for San Marcos CISD. And we have a great group of panelists here with us today. So I would like to start with Mr. Michael Cardona. Would you please give us a brief introduction?
Hello, my name is Michael Cardona. I'm Superintendent of Schools here in San Marcos CISD. This is my 5th year as superintendent. I guess a little about myself. I'm actually a product of private education, K-12, but I have spent 29 years working in public education. And I have been everywhere from San Antonio to Houston to now here in San Marcos. And I've been a teacher, self-contained teacher of students with emotional disabilities, all the way to assistant principal to middle school and high school principal. So thank y'all for having us.
Thank you, Mr. Cardona. And I'd like to introduce Mrs. Rose Smith.
Hello, hello. I am Rose Smith. I am the founder and CEO of Black Women in Business. It was just a Texas thing. We had about 10 chapters in Texas, and on August 2nd, we expanded, so we are now a global movement. As you can see, I have my San Marcos shirt on. So San Marcos, we do have a chapter in San Marcos, and I'm extremely excited about that chapter. I have always known that I was going to be a business owner from the time that I was probably around 10. Just like the opportunity of being able to make, kind of like write my own check, make my own money. And so I have a degree in business from the University of Texas, Bookham. And so Black Women in Business is just an opportunity for us to help women not only start a business, but if they're already in business, help them to level up, help them to expand, collaborate and things like that, and just be more successful, because it's really tough in the small business world. And so I'm excited every single day just to be able to help people live out their dream.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to introduce Coach Z from Texas State University.
Well, hi students. I'm really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you today. Like Mr. Cardona, I'm also a private school educated kid, but in high school, I went to public school. And I think, as you can probably guess, I'm a basketball coach, and my path was actually pretty simple. I went from being a student athlete in high school. I'm from the Houston area. Then I went and I left to go to college out of state. I got my undergraduate degree, then I got my master's degree, and I started coaching. And I've been coaching now here at Texas State. I'm going into my 10th season, but I've been coaching for over 25 years. I'm a blessed mom. You can see the pictures in the back of 3 boys. So sports are a big piece of what we do, but the education always comes first. So I'm excited about the opportunity to share a little bit with you guys today and give you an idea of what it's like, the path, for me at least, and what that might potentially look like for you.
That is so exciting. Thank you so much for sharing. We have something in common. I have 3 boys as well. So definitely keep us on our toes, right? And next is Jaquela Bowie, a student athlete at Texas State University.
Hey guys, my name is Jaquela Bowie, and I'm a student athlete at Texas State University. I'm on the basketball team. I'm a junior. My major is health and fitness management, and I'm minoring in business management. I'm from Tyler, Texas, and I went to Robert E. Lee High School. I'm happy to be talking to you guys today.
We are so happy that you're here with us. So we'll move on to our questions. And our first question is for Mr. Cardona, Superintendent of Schools for San Marcos CISD. Mr. Cardona, as a superintendent, what do you consider to be your main responsibilities, and what do you like most about being a superintendent?
Well, before I start, I just want to give a shout out to Jaquela, because I was a high school principal in San Antonio at Robert E. Lee High School. So we have something in common. Who knew, right? So, that's good. So superintendent, Well, you know, I guess I would say the best part of my job is that I get to not control is a bad word, but shape and mold what happens with young kids. When I was growing up in private school, I didn't have that ability to voice my opinion. They really didn't care about my story. They wanted you to kind of complete their story, and I fit the system, right? I did my work. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was a yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am kind of kid. But I always felt like, you know, they never listened to me. And my parents, you know, being Spanish speakers, always said, take care of your education, don't cause waves, and just do what you're supposed to do. And so when I got into education, I started realizing really pretty quickly that there were a large number of kids who didn't have a voice. They didn't have somebody that was advocating for them. And, you know, I would like to think that as a former teacher and principal, that if you ask any of my former students, they will tell you that, you know, I had high expectations for them, but, you know, I was also going to tell them I loved them and I was there to support them. And, you know, education is the way, and there's certain ways to do things right and wrong. And so now that I get to be superintendent, I feel like it's my job to, you know, advocate for those kids and families that can't advocate for themselves, empower leaders. You know, our teachers are the leaders. There's a lot more of them, our administrators. And really, I think the most exciting part, if we do it right, is that we understand each kid. Like I would know Jakayla's story and what she wants to do, and it's my job to support her. And then when she graduates from high school, whatever she wants to do, that she's more than capable of doing whatever she and her family decide. It's not for me to decide a pathway for her. So that's kind of like what I see my role. And you know, it's exciting. You know, it's exciting to work with kids and get to work with, see what happens when they grow up.
That's very powerful, Mr. Cardona. And I will tell you, San Marcos is very blessed to have you as our superintendent, because your actions speak those words for sure. And I think stories are incredible. And maybe that's a new idea for this Gear Up Red Roll Carpet rollout. So now we'll move on to Mrs. Smith. Your question is, Ms. Smith, tell us how you began your career as the CEO and founder of Black Women in Business.
Well, like I said before in the introduction, I've always known that I wanted to have my own business. Always was really interested in problem solving. And I know that sounds really funny for a kid, but it was just like, you know, something come up, let's get it solved so then I can do what I want to do. And so starting with in corporate America, I often was in leadership roles, and I knew that leading people and teaching people how to be successful was something where I just love. I love helping people. I love encouraging people. And so as I went about my career in corporate America and just seeing more of the possibilities, I'm like, let's venture out and do something that can help enhance the community, that can empower women, that can, you know, help people believe that there's something that there's someone that cares about their vision and dream. And I think, especially for our young people, I want them to know that every one of us have a gift, and your gift should be in the core of whatever you choose to do in life. And I love helping people. I love encouraging people. I help supporting people. I think that there are so many things in life that really work against us sometimes. And sometimes we fall victim to thinking about the things that don't work and what we may not can do, we may not be able to accomplish. But when you have a platform or a team that is supporting you and helping you and enhancing your dream and giving you ideas, it's just a new opportunity. And what I've realized is a lot of entrepreneurs are first-time entrepreneurs in their family. So the people that are closest around them are not pouring into those dreams. And so it's really hard for them to get it off the ground. So once I realized that was my passion and I love business, it was kind of like a no-brainer. It's just like, how do I go about it and how do I put it together? But in 2014, I finally answered the call and said, yep, let's go and let's do this. And we started in 2014. We celebrated our 6th anniversary of Black Women in Business. you know, in July. And so we have been moving forward. And the thing that I want to say is that when you have your gift in the core of what you're doing, it doesn't really, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but it won't impact you as much. And the reason why I'm saying that is with the COVID pandemic that we're dealing with right now, all of our businesses have been almost kind of non-existent because of the limitations that we have to deal with. But what we started on March 16th was we put together a program and we just started feeding the community. Again, that's that helping, supporting thing that I love. And we have fed over 20,000 residents in Travis County since March 16th without any city, state, or federal funding at all. So the thing that I want the young people to know is that you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it with proper planning and the passion and willing to do the work. So Black Women in Business, for me, I can't even imagine myself not doing it. And what we're doing is trying to make sure that the platform grows and that legacies are left and that people are continuing to be empowered, not just young people, but all people. Because as long as we're living, we all have something that we can still accomplish or that we dream that we want to accomplish. And all we have to do is get ourselves connected with the right people to make that thing happen.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to speak volumes to our scholars who are listening to this red carpet rollout. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. And now we'll move on to Coach Z. Coach Z is the head coach of the Texas State women's basketball program. What do you look for when recruiting?
Oh, I think it's pretty simple, tougher in application, but we look for young women and families that are dedicated to working hard. I think that's going to be the biggest piece of it, that you're willing to work hard and that you don't have to coach effort. I think it's really important that we understand there are going to be times where you find that we have some lazy tendencies, but overall effort, whether it be the academic effort you need to put in the classroom, the social effort, the discipline that you need, we really look for young women that are going to be self-starters or have people surrounding them that can help them from that standpoint. I think that's going to be ultimately the most important piece of working together as a team. I love the game of basketball. I love team sports because it's a cooperative effort. Specifically with women's basketball, what makes it great, and men's basketball as well, is we have people from all socioeconomic backgrounds that come together and we play the sport. And at the end of the day, you put everything else aside and they come out there and they get to play the sport. So if you're able and willing to put in effort and you're able and willing to be disciplined, those are the things that we look for from our student athletes for sure. And then after that, of course, we're looking for specific skills, right? You have to have certain skills to be able to play the game. If you're putting in the effort and God has blessed you with those skill sets, then you're going to have the opportunity to play at some level a game that you love. So that's really important to us, that, you know, the discipline, but then of course the skill set. It would be crazy to say you're going to receive a college scholarship without any skills. Sometimes you can work really hard and love something, but you know what? I can't even say I work really hard at singing, but I love music, and God hasn't blessed me in that way. So we need to have some level of skills that need to be developed and refined in order to put yourself in positive position to gain a scholarship.
Thank you, Coach Z. That is a very strong message. And I know that many of our scholars out there are definitely working towards those goals that they're setting, both in the classroom and out on the athletic field, whether it be basketball or soccer or football or any of those sports. Thank you for sharing. So Jakayla, you're up next. Jakayla, what was the recruitment process like for you?
The recruiting process for me was really special and exciting and just easy going. It was cool knowing that a different variety of coaches from all levels believed in me to play for their program. For me, it was really important for me to go somewhere that I would feel taken care of and at home. I was patient and I explored all of my options thoroughly. When you're getting recruited, I think it's important to be grateful for every opportunity, but also make the best decisions for yourself and your future. When I was getting recruited by Texas State, all of the coaches were consistent in calling and checking up on my family, and it just made me feel like they really wanted me to be a part of their program. And when I went on my visit, I felt at home, and I felt like San Marcos was the place for me. Till this day, I'm very proud of my decisions. My coaches and teammates have pushed me to be a better basketball player and a better woman in general.
That is very exciting, Jakayla. And I know
I'm glad you chose it too. I'm glad you chose it too.
We all are very glad. Yeah. And I believe we all watched you play last year when Texas women's basketball was so gracious and invited us, our scholars, our elementary age students and our sixth graders to go see a home game.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
We played Georgia Southern, I want to say. Yep.
Yes.
We were making some lot of noise.
And you know what? I thought I'm gonna miss seeing all those faces this year, depending on what's going on with COVID. But man, those are some special games. But no, you're right. You had a chance to see Jacayla play for sure.
Yes, that was exciting. All right, so let's move back on to Mr. Cardona. Your next question, Mr. Cardona, is what makes a student college and career ready when they graduate from San Marcos High School?
Well, I think Jacayla probably, well, everybody in this panel probably exemplifies a little bit about, what makes a college or high school graduate, right? She talked a little bit about her thought process in the recruiting. And so first and foremost, it's a kid who understands and can think that there's a bigger picture, that it's not just about them. It's really stepping back and kind of analyzing a variety of things to make a decision that's best for them and their family. And she talked about that very specifically. I mean, I think Coach Z talks about skills. And so I think there's a fundamental you have to have. And I always tell parents, I told them when I was a principal, I don't care if you want to be a welder or an electrician. If you look at the electrical trades manual, you look at getting into medical school, the reading levels about 6 months off. It's a 12th grade reading level. And so, whatever it is, that a student wants to do, they have to be a self-advocate. They have to be a contributor to the society. They have to believe that, yeah, they know they're going to experience failure, but that's a part of learning. They have to be literate, and they have to be numerate. They have to be able to carry a conversation and write in a clear manner. I mean, those are just basic skills. But I think the bigger thing is they have to have, obviously I would say as superintendent, you have to have faith, right? Faith is first. Your family is a close second. But they have to understand that there's a bigger picture. It's not about them, and that the high school graduate, the college graduate is better working as a group in a team. I'm sure Coach says, there's we, there's no me, right? We want we, and we're better off for that. And I think that's what makes, a successful, any kind of graduate, high school graduate or college graduate. And, I know we all can probably say we all have experienced, forms of failure, forms of racism, forms of systemic types of oppression. And we all have this intuitive drive to just continue to push forward and understand that, your education and your faith in your family is going to get you through a lot of that and be successful in whatever the good Lord puts you in. So that'd be my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Cardona. And I know we recently interviewed a San Marcos High School student, and she talked about being a well-rounded student and a lot about service. So I would say we're definitely acquiring those skills within our AVIDS district-wide and school-wide and our Gear Up. So thank you, Mr. Cardona, for sharing. And we're going to move on next to Mrs. Smith. Ms. Smith, what was an obstacle you faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
Ooh, let me see which one I want to talk about. No, I'm saying there's lots of obstacles. And one of the things that I want, and that's one of the things that I try to be real with, is our kids. We have 6 kids, all grown, but we have 6 kids. I just became a grandmother. And so I give everyone the same kind of advice, is that knowing that when you're going to step out of your comfort zone to do something, you're going to be met with challenges and obstacles and things and uncertainties, and it's okay. You don't have to say, oh, I know I shouldn't have done this. And so my career and journey, like anyone else here on the panel today, has had lots of tribulations and trials. But one of the things that was the hardest for me is that I tell people I'm just a winner by nature. I'm always looking for the way to win. So Coach, I know me and you can probably, and I'm looking for a way to win all the time. And I get that from my grandmother, because she was always, don't complain about it, find a way to make it happen, whatever it is you're needing to do. And so what I found was a lot of people weren't mentally ready for the challenge they were giving themselves. They wanted to start a business. They wanted to start an organization. They had all these wonderful things, but they didn't think about that there's going to be some hurdles. And then when you're trying to advise and coach and direct them in the direction that they need to go, there's a lot of pushback. And a lot of times the pushback is, it's not intended to be personal toward myself or anyone else that's trying to help them, but it's just the frustration that lies there. So I had to say, okay, well, let's change the dynamics. Let's change the way that we're doing this. And so I'm a former athlete, played basketball, volleyball, all that stuff. And so that's what I use in my coaching platform, is by, you know, using sports as an analogy. And sometimes people haven't played sports, but we all get the team, you know, the team mentality. And so that was the hardest thing. Getting people to understand that when you start a business, when you start an organization, you may very well be the leader, but you're in business for yourself and not by yourself. So it's extremely important to build bonds and relationships and networking and being able to be coachable. That's the hardest thing. And so a lot of times it could be frustrating. And my thing is, because again, my gift is helping and supporting. I really wanted people to win. I really wanted people to succeed, but we had this one part that we had to get over. So as a result of that, I created a platform called Motivational Monday. So every Monday, entrepreneurs, we all get together and we're just talking about whatever is going on with us, our challenges, our struggles, whatever. And usually somebody in the room is able to give them an idea, a resource, or either able to help them themselves. And just by doing that, it started to change the dynamics of the platform. But it was certainly a huge hurdle, because I'm like, oh my goodness, we got to get this thing together. But that comes with anything. And so for the young people, I want you to know that when you come against challenges, don't give up. You know, stop, assess the situation, reach out to people that are already doing what you aspire to do, the people you love and trust, and get somebody to sit with you and look at something differently, because when you get an outside perspective, it usually helps you see things a little bit more clearly. And so that was one of the biggest challenges for me. And it still is on some days, but it's better than it used to be.
Thank you. What great advice. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
We have Coach Z up next. Coach Z, what skills, abilities, and personal attributes are essential to success in your career?
Oh, you know, I think they're probably similar across the board. I think the biggest piece, and this is what I grew up in my family household, is discipline. You have to be disciplined. My father's definition growing up of discipline is doing things that you don't necessarily enjoy really well until you master that particular skill. And that can be just for the student waking up on time, you know, having a planner. You know, there's a lot of pieces that as a parent, there's a lot of pieces where I have to be disciplined. As a coach, I feel like I'm a parent to all these women. I have to be disciplined in that area as well. Discipline would be probably the biggest, like Ms. Rose said earlier, you know, I don't even want to call it a hurdle. It's something that you just have to tackle. And once you're able to tackle that, then it just becomes second nature. And I think that's going to come when you go to college and you're learning how to discipline yourself from all the external fun that we can have. Sometimes fun, it comes in, you know, a partner. Sometimes it comes in playing. Sometimes it comes from video games, whatever that is, being able to cut that out and focus on that task at hand. Because truly, once you discipline yourself, my husband's definition is it gives you freedom. Then you have so much freedom to do things and enjoy things. But without that discipline, I don't think you're able to achieve anything else. And I want to piggyback a little bit on what Ms. Smith was saying. I think this really fit for you students. I remember a time where I had to discipline myself, and this was a big hurdle for me, where I was a sophomore year in high school, and there was a girl at the time, and we know sometimes how things can be competitive, who told me, you're good, but you're never going to be good enough to be a Division I athlete. I mean, your skill level isn't really good. And she was on the debate team. I happen to be on the debate team. This is an unknown fact about me. People don't know that. So she came at me with this, and I was really upset. I was so angry, and I sat with this like, how dare her say I can't do X, Y, Z? Now, my personality type is I'm gonna show you. But to this day, I know that young woman's name, and I've worked really hard, and she's been a driving factor for me to stay disciplined, because I was not gonna let this young woman have this thought process. Now, you know, I'm not the person who's gonna go back and say, hey, look at me now. But I am going to sit here and say, you know what, I was able to fight through the ugly way that she had. Now, of course, I had the support of family and friends who were able to kind of talk me down and say, hey, you need to relax and refocus and discipline yourself on what's important. And so I'll tell you her first name. Her first name was Jenny. To this day, I've always kind of held that in the back of my head. I'm not going to let Jenny's in this world stop me from my goal, which is winning and helping these young women achieve what I did as a student athlete, and that is winning a championship, getting a degree, and having it pay for a master's degree as well. If you really work your butt off, no matter what your skill level is, like Mr. Cardonia said, you're going to be able to achieve at the highest level, whether you're a master mechanic, which you can make quite a bit of money doing that, or whether you're a coach, or whether you're, a leader, a businessman, whatever it is. I really do believe that if you are able to stay disciplined and keep positive people around you, I know, students, you're going to be successful. It's just figure out those good people to hold on to, listen to them, and do your best to stay disciplined. And you're going to fall off the wagon. Just get on right back up, okay? That's the part of being resilient that we love to see. And I really believe in this generation. You guys are mobilizing like I've never seen before, especially at the college level. I absolutely love it. I love to hear your voices. I don't see it as combative. I see it as wanting to be able to do things the right way. So you take that, and y'all take that energy and use it in a positive way.
Wow. Thank you, Coach Z. We're all have goosebumps over here right now. I think you just absolutely 100% spoke to our student population. Thank you. Jakayla, you're up next, Ms. Jakayla. What supports are available to students in college?
Well, as an athlete, we have the Athletic Academic Center available to us. It's where we have study hall and tutoring, and we have an advisor that helps us monitor our grades and classes so we stay on top of things. But Texas State has great resources that all students can use. I think the library is a great one because you can use the computers and printers 24 hours a day. You can also find tutoring there. And if you got a lot of essays, you can go to the Writing Center for help. Our professors have office hours so you can get one-on-one help with them. And every student has an advisor. So if you need to change your major or classes, or if you need help building your schedule for the next semester, they can help you with that too.
That's incredible. That's a lot of support. And I know many of our scholars are going to be looking to do that, especially our 12th graders who are getting ready to graduate. The year goes by fast. So we want to just do a whip around. If there's one last piece of advice that you would want to share with our students that are watching, we're going to give everyone an opportunity. Mr. Cardona?
Well, I think Coach Z, Ms. Smith, Jakayla all said it really pretty well, right? We all have similar things. And I would say to students, whatever it is you want to do, I think Coach Z referenced being disciplined, being passionate, understanding that you're going to face failure and you have to overcome obstacles. We all have faced failures. People look at me as a superintendent and they have a story in their mind about who I am and what my story is, and they don't really know. We all have our own stories. I would say, having children myself who are very different, one being very anxiety driven and one being very gifted that fits the system, that I would tell students that it's okay to be different. It's okay to ask for help, particularly for young men who don't want to ask for help. I think it's really important that we ask for help. And, whether you go to college, Jakayla mentioned, there are so many resources. And, when people don't ask for help is when they face failure, and then when they just get into the cycle, because there are people who have experienced a lot. And I think everybody intuitively wants to help prop the student up. We're here to make sure that you're successful. And so, whatever it is you want to do, advocate for yourself in a respectful manner, and push forward when things don't go your way. And, everything winds up being good. I made F's in college and I made several D's, and they were all because I was not self-disciplined. I thought I was better than the system and smarter than the system. And the system decided to teach me differently. But ultimately, I think I'm still being pretty successful in what I want to accomplish. And I didn't seek to be a superintendent. You don't know what you're going to be 25 years from now, but whatever it is you're going to be, you have to have some character traits. You got to have integrity. It's easier to tell the truth than to start covering a bunch of lies. you know, just keep pushing forward. And, you know, we're here to support you. You have a great support system with Gear Up. We have a great support system with Texas State. They've been amazing to us and to our kids. And so we'll get through this pandemic together, and soon we're going to be back in person and pushing forward. So, and going to basketball games here pretty quickly. So just keep pushing forward.
Thank you, Mr. Cardona, for that advice for our scholars. It's wonderful, and it rings very true, especially during this time of COVID. Ms. Smith, would you have some final words of advice for our scholars?
Yes, my advice is to know that you are amazing all by yourself. I think that is the biggest thing for me, self-love and self-motivation. And no matter what's going on in your life, you still have something to be grateful for. Somebody still needs your voice. Somebody still needs your smile. Somebody still needs to just see your face. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of times when we go through challenges, especially as young people, and we have things like Coach Z just mentioned, someone just doubting her, saying you'll never be able to do this. And sometimes as young people, we will allow one person to determine what we're going to do or stop us from doing something we really love. And I have a quote that I say, I will never let one person control 2 lives, ever. No matter what anyone says to you, you got to know that you are amazing all by yourself. You know, we've all had obstacles, we've all had hurdles, but you are enough, and you're worthy. You're worthy of doing and becoming whatever that you want to. And like Coach Z says, have discipline, be okay with reaching out to other people. But the main thing is just love on you, and know that no matter what it is that you want to do, that it's important. If it's important to you, it's important enough for you to do it. That's all that I have to say.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Smith. Coach Z, final words of advice?
I love what Ms. Smith said and Mr. Cardona said. I definitely think it's true. I think what I would add to that for our students is keep positive people around you. Have a positive posse around you all the time. If your friends are not making you better, and sometimes even within our own family dynamics, there's family members sometimes that aren't making you better. They're not helping you in a positive way. And I don't mean the fluffy stuff like saying, oh, you're good, you're going to be fine. But I truly mean giving you some direction, helping you out, truly listening to you. Those are the folks you want to surround yourself with, because we are going to have those really tough times. And when we have those tough times, it's important to lean on people. And those people are going to be your positive posse. The ones who are going to be like, you got this. Here, this is the time when you did this particular thing. Here's another positive thing that you did today. Man, you're great in that kitchen. You do a good job whipping up a meal. I wish I had the skill level you did. You did a great job singing in church. Whatever it is, keep those positive people around you. And then also in turn, return that positivity. You'll find your ability to be able to lift up others really lifts your spirits. So I highly encourage you to do that, to keep positive people around you, because that's really going to feed your spirit in the end.
100%. Thank you so much, Coach Z. Jakayla, what would be your final piece of advice for our scholars?
I would say, like, in college, when you get there, don't be afraid to try new things and get involved and just be able to meet new people so you can create positive people around you and join some clubs or organizations, because in the long run, you're going to need those people for networking or whatever you want to be. And just don't be afraid to fail. That's all I got.
That's great, Jakayla. I love that word, networking. It's really important at your age, and it's really important at my age as well for all of us. So love that you mentioned that. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for celebrating National Gear Up Week with us. Wow, what an amazing panel this has been. We are now looking forward to round 2 of the Rattler carpet rollout, which there will be, we've been promised. And so thank you so much all for being with us today. We're so grateful.